Day 2 would see us riding from the Lionsden Hotel up through Cooktown and Laura to the Haan River Roadhouse. Now after day 1, I think everyone was hoping for a little bit of a rest. Day 2 was much easier than day 1, but there were still some challenges along the way.
Go wheelie!
The first little stop for the day was a hidden little waterfall. Although the temperature was way too cold to be swimming, it was a cool little place. Now coming from a lighter European two-stroke, there was a big difference in how these bikes needed to be ridden, and I quickly learned you had to really have good brake control in the wet. Before I knew it, I was on the ground. No injuries, but it was a good wake-up call for the day.
Oh, I grabbed a bit there. Yeah, that's skating. Yep, just a bit of pride.
Archer Point Lighthouse would be our second stop for the day. A bit of morning tea, some views of the ocean before we rolled through to Cooktown to fuel up. We rolled into Cooktown and up to the Captain Cook lookout. It was a good chance to touch base with home as it was our first bit of reception for the trip. Leaving the lookout, it was a short 5-minute ride to the servo where we'd fuel up for the day. Unfortunately, some of us had been a little more throttle happy than the others. Now I wouldn't say Cooktown is the most progressive town, so we definitely got some weird looks riding down the street holding hands. Toe and Curly gave me some of the worst arm pump I've ever had, but this wouldn't be Curly's last little fuel adventure for the day. Now coming across this sign before the next river crossing wasn't a confidence building thing. Most of the group were from the southern states, and as you can tell by the footage, it didn't really look inviting to cross, so the decision was made to turn around. I raced ahead of the group to get some footage of us coming back through the creek, although I think the guys took this as an opportunity to spray me with the cold rainforest water. So to bypass the dodgy creek, our lead rider Woody had heard of another track. Now the emphasis is heard here, because I don't think this track had ever been ridden, but with a little bit of scrub bashing and a good little adventure, we got where we needed to be. After our scrub bashing adventures, everyone was pretty hungry and it was time for lunch. So we stopped by a creek for a quick feed, and then on we went. Now this creek crossing wasn't too bad at the start, but after 12 bikes went through, it was pretty chewed up. Now I was hanging back with Pete, the sweet rider, so as we let the others go ahead, we kind of seen a little hill. It wasn't that little, and the DRZ's made it a bit more challenging than it would on a normal bike, but we got it done.
Screaming Zero DRZ style!
A few kilometres down the track and another series of creek crossings. Now if you haven't realised by now, you quickly learn to ride creek crossings on one of these tours. This particular crossing had a nice concrete base, but it was flowing pretty strong, so you had to angle the bike upstream. As we rolled into Laura, it was straight to the pub for a beer and a bit of bench racing about how the day went. 75 kilometres on the Peninsula Development Road was all we had left. Easy, right? All those little filming adventures and hill climbs, I probably used a bit more fuel than I should have, so I was slipstreaming behind Pete. Although I wasn't the bike we had to be worried about. 20 kilometres to go. Home was in sight. You could taste the beers. And then we roll over the hill to see a few bikes pulled up. Curly was out of fuel again, so were some other boys. Now Peter thought already ahead of this and grabbed a bottle from the side.
You want to drink a ginger ale?
Bush mechanics at its best, eh?
That's it, ginger ale at its best.
That's good.
A little while later, we rolled into the Roadhouse. We were greeted by a hot dinner cooking, cold beers in the esky, and a warm fire. What more could you want after a day of riding? A few beers, a bit of bench racing, and we were getting ready for day 3. On the next episode, we make our way up to the Haan River Roadhouse, stopping off at a beach, a few more creeks, and somehow the boys manage this.
Are you okay?